Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Nikki Zick, and today we're going to be doing a wildflower painting using water-soluble colored pencils today and watercolor paints. And if you look closely, you could see fine detail lines that I used the colored pencil and diffused it with the watercolor paint. So let's get started with this wildflower, which is in my favorite colors, pink and purple. We'll prop it up with my Relax and Evil Eye Rock. I already taped out the border with a 1/2-inch white painter's tape, and I drew a light line work detail of where my flower positions are going to be, so it's easier for me as a guide. So we're going to start off the painting with yellow centers. I'm going to use a combination of my golden yellow and lemon yellow and paint an oval. A little bit too much paint. Move a little. I don't want my center of the flower too large. And next, the process we're going to use is drawing with the colored pencil first, and then using the water to diffuse the lines. So right now I have my dark pink colored pencil, and I'm going to draw the flower petals. I have 8 petals on this flower, and on the edge of the flower petal it's darker and jagged. You could do a few lines in the center, but right now we're going to concentrate on the edges of the petals, which are more heavy and jagged, and then the line coming down to the center of the yellow. And we do this for all the petals going around the yellow center. There's 8 petals like I mentioned, and just drawing as you would sketch with a pencil in regular drawing technique. And I'm just using colored pencil right now that's going to turn into paint, and it's really something magical and different, and it's a different kind of art material that is fun and unique feeling. We'll do the bottom one while we have the pencil out, and I'll draw the dark jagged lines on the tips of the petals and go outlining the petal leaf, each petal, and then heavy on the edge, jagged, and all around the yellow center. Some petals come out a little further, and also some detail lines we can add. And here's our last petal, jagged edge. Okay, there's our pink. And actually, we could do our green stems. We could do one line and then go back over it, make it slightly thicker. And then for the smaller flower, the same idea. They're both curving in the same direction. For this artwork, there was no leaves, so we're just going to use our medium-sized round brush with clean water, and we'll go into the petals, and as you can see, the water just blends the colored pencil as if it were paint, and we're working our way into the yellow center, but not touching it because I see it's still wet and glistening. So we'll stay clear of the yellow. I don't want any blending of the center. Just go right up to the edge of the yellow with your paintbrush. Load up with some more water, dab it off. You don't want it too wet because then your pencil lines will just blur out and then turn into mud, and then you won't have the nice details that you drew. And as you see, the pencil just blends away, going around the center, and it's just like painting, but your paint is already on the paper. So here's a close-up of the first flower with the colored pencils and water. Next we'll do our second flower, again with the same technique of a wet brush going into the center of our flower, not working on the edge too much because I want it to be heavier on the outer edge. Going into the center around the yellow. Load up our brush with some more water. And again, the outside tips of the petals should stay dark as you come into the center of the flower. Now we can come down and go over our stem with the water, and it just blends. We'll do the smaller stem. Next, we'll start with our background, and I chose a nice apple green for the background, and this will do as a wet on wet technique. So I'm going to go around the flower petals very carefully with clean water, and we'll work on the top of the artwork first and then blend our way down. So I have a nice apple green that I'm going to use on the top edge of the paint of the artwork. Where the tape is, I put the heaviest amount of paint and then blend in to our flower around the petals, trying not to touch the pink with the apple green. Just go around carefully, making sure your paper is still wet. You may have to re-wet it. Add a little more paint. Come down the paper. And then we're going to blend into a different color of green. We'll come down the side here. A little bit darker concentration of the color. Going to the center of the flowers and stems. Then we're going to go into a darker green. Let me wet the paper first so it's easier to blend. This apple green will come down, so we'll blend that out. Now I have my grass green that I'm going to blend on the bottom. Go around your flowers all across the bottom. And blend it up to the apple green. Coming back down to the edge of the paper, to the corner. Next we'll take our dark green pencil and add some dark lines of green around the bottom flower. In this corner I want to have a dark area, and the dark pencil gives nice texture. We can go with our stem again if it gets lost in the background. And I'll do a little bit dark texture with the pencil on the left. And some in the middle of the flowers, indicating some sort of grass, but I just really want to indicate with the pencil. And then I'm going to blend it with my wet paintbrush with clean water and just mute the line slightly that we drew in the corner here. go up the side. This corner here, maybe a bit too much water. We could also add a little bit of dark green to the bottom to make it more heavy, like the original artwork. Just some heavy green in the corner and the bottom. I'm also going to go with a smaller brush and go over my stems with the dark green. The smaller flower will do, but we might have to go back because it might fall into the background. Next, we're going to add some violet details into our flower, which is mostly, it should be dry from the colored pencils. They dry quicker than watercolor paints. So I'm going to use my fine brush and start on the edges and do slight details and go down. Each petal start on the edge with some tiny brush strokes to keep it heavy and jagged on the edge. You could bring some lines down, but primarily we're concentrating on the edge and the lines in between the flowers using this purple paint. It's a red violet and it blends nicely with the pink. Again, the edge. And keep your paint thin so that way it's not too heavy when we add the color on top of the pink. You could let the paint blend out on your brush and go back to mute the color. I'll do some heavy purple here and on the edge here. I'll go back in with a little clean water and just mute the edge slightly where it's a little bit heavy and some lines got a little dark. Now we'll move down to the bottom flower, again with the red violet, and do the edges and then going down the lines, centers of the petals. Right now my green is wet, so I'm staying clear of the edges right now. On the bottom petals, you can go back for them. Just working on the outer edge, again, of the petals of this wildflower. Go into the edge here. Carefully not to touch the green. And the last petal here. You could do some lines going down the petals just with a dry brush of the purple so it's light in color. I'll do some of that at the top as well. Lighten my paint a little. It's a little dark. And you can lighten your lines with some clean water. If it's a little heavy, the watercolor blends out. Next, we'll use our fine detail brush and we'll go into the black for our center accents and the final detail of our painting. And I'm just doing little dash marks with my black paint here and there small little dashes in different directions, concentrating to do them only on the yellow. And then we'll do the flower at the bottom. This one has a little bit less accents than the top. And I think I'm going to add a little more green in the background. I'm going to use a different, brighter green over here. Just bring a little different color to give it some interest. Go into the center here and blend it into the apple green. Use some clean water and go down the edge of your paper. And our artwork is complete. So I'm going to let it dry, and then we'll remove the tape and remove the artwork from the block of watercolor paper. Okay, now that our painting is dry, we'll remove the tape. I'll start with the sides. We'll do the right side. If I can catch the edge of the paper, the tape. We'll do the right. We'll do the left side. We'll do the top. And then lastly, the bottom, making sure all is dry. I see I have a little bleed through, but I could touch that up with bleed proof white. And here's our final artwork. I'll remove it from the block now. This block is a reverse, so the edge is here. Use your palette knife, and you get the outermost layer, the top. Slide your palette knife in, go around the corners, very nice and slow, so you don't tear the art paper underneath. And you could feel the palette knife go under the artwork. And there's our finished piece. And I'm going to show you quickly how I touch up a little bleed that comes through with the tape. Again, I go into my bleed proof white with a fine paint brush and just gently dab the white, bleed proof white, onto your mark that went through the tape. And all is forgiven with the bleed proof white. It'll dry nice and flat to match the background of the border. And this is what our final piece looks like. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up so other people will be able to watch it. And if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe. And that's it for today, and I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.